Welcome to the IELTS Listening Test. You will hear 4 recorded conversations or monologues, each played once only. The test has 4 sections, with a total of 40 questions. The recordings become more difficult as the test progresses. You will have time to read the questions before each section begins, and time to check your answers at the end of each section. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Write your answers in the spaces provided on the question paper as you listen. Do not open the question paper until instructed to do so. Now, turn to Section 1. You will hear a conversation between 2 people. First, you have 30 seconds to look at questions 1 to 10. Section 1. You will hear a conversation between Emma, a student, and Mark, an accommodation officer at a university. First, you have 30 seconds to look at questions 1 to 10.
Good morning, Emma. Welcome to the University Housing Office. I'm Mark, and I'll help you find accommodation for the upcoming semester. So, have you got any preferences already?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for seeing me. Well, I'm starting my master's in environmental science next month, and I'm looking for something affordable but close to campus. I've heard the university halls are quite popular, but I'm not sure what's available.
No worries, I'll walk you through the options. First, we've got 3 main types of accommodation: university halls, shared houses, and private flats. Halls are the most popular for first-year students because they're on campus, fully furnished, and include utilities like electricity and water. The cost for a single room in halls is around $450 per month, but you'll share a kitchen and bathroom with about 6 other students.
$450 sounds reasonable, but sharing a bathroom with 6 people? I'm not sure about that. Are there any halls with private bathrooms?
Good question. We do have ensuite rooms in Westfield Hall. They're a bit pricier, about $600 per month, but you get your own bathroom and the kitchen is still shared. Westfield is just a 5-minute walk from the main lecture building, so it's super convenient.
That sounds better. What about the shared houses? Are they further away?
Not too far. The shared houses are off campus, about a 15-minute walk or a short bus ride. They're usually for 3 to 5 students, and you'd have your own bedroom but share the kitchen, living room, and bathroom. The rent is around $400 per month, excluding utilities, which might add another $50 or so.
Okay, so cheaper than halls, but I'd need to budget for bills. Are utilities included in any of the options?
Only in the halls, I'm afraid. For shared houses or private flats, you'd need to cover water, electricity, and internet separately. Speaking of private flats, they're the most expensive option, starting at $700 per month for a 1-bedroom flat near campus. They're great for privacy, but they're harder to find, and you'd need to sign a 12-month lease.
A lease sounds a bit daunting. I think I'd prefer halls for now, maybe Westfield. Do they have any facilities, like a gym or study areas?
Westfield's got a common room with a TV, a small gym, nothing fancy, just some treadmills and weights, and quiet study rooms you can book. There's also a laundry room on site, but you'll need to pay $2 per wash. Oh, and there's free Wi-Fi throughout the building, which is a big plus.
That sounds perfect. How do I apply for a room in Westfield?
It's all online. I'll give you the website details. You'll need to fill out an application form and pay a $200 deposit by the 15th of September to secure your spot. You'll also need to provide your student ID number. It's on your offer letter.
Got it. Is there a deadline for applications?
Yes, for Westfield, it's the 20th of September, but I'd recommend applying by the 10th to be safe. Places fill up fast. If you miss the deadline, we can still try to find you a room in another hall, like Parkview, but it's a bit further, about a 10-minute walk.
Okay, I'll aim for the 10th. One last thing. Are meals included in the halls?
Not in Westfield, but you can buy a meal plan for the campus canteen. It's $150 per month for 2 meals a day. Otherwise, you can cook in the shared kitchen. There's a supermarket just off campus, about a 5-minute walk.
Great. I think I'll cook. Thanks so much, Mark. I'll go online and apply for Westfield tonight.
No problem, Emma. If you need help with the application, just call us at 0131-555-7890 or drop by the office. Good luck with your studies.
That was the end of Section 1. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to questions 1 to 10. Now turn to Section 2. You will hear a talk by a museum guide about a local history museum. First, you have 30 seconds to look at questions 11 to 20. You will hear a talk by Sarah, a museum guide, about the Riverside History Museum. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 20.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Riverside History Museum. I'm Sarah, your guide today, and I'm excited to tell you about what you can expect during your visit. The museum is open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., except on Mondays, when we're closed for maintenance. Admission is $8 for adults, $5 for students and seniors, and free for children under 12. Our museum is housed in a beautiful 19th century building, originally a textile factory, and it's been restored to showcase the history of Riverside Town. We have 4 main exhibition halls, each focusing on a different period or theme. Let's start with the first hall, which covers the Industrial Revolution. You'll see original machinery, like a 200-year-old steam engine, and interactive displays about life in the 1800s. There's even a replica of a worker's cottage, complete with furniture and tools from the era. The second hall is all about the town's maritime history. Riverside was a major port in the 17th and 18th centuries, and this exhibit includes a model of a trading ship, as well as artifacts like navigational tools and sailors' journals. We also have a short film, shown every hour, about the town's role in global trade. Moving on to the third hall, we focus on the 20th century, particularly the impact of the two world wars. You'll find photographs, letters, and personal stories from local residents who lived through those times. One highlight is a restored World War II air raid shelter, which you can walk through to get a sense of what life was like during the bombings. Finally, our fourth hall is dedicated to modern Riverside, from the 1950s to today. This exhibit explores how the town transformed into a hub for technology and innovation. There's a section on the rise of the local tech industry, with displays of early computers and interviews with entrepreneurs. Before you start exploring, a few practical details. The Museum Cafe, located near the entrance, serves lunch and snacks from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you're driving, there's a parking lot behind the building, but spaces are limited, so public transport is recommended. The nearest bus stop is Riverside Square, just a 2-minute walk away. We also offer guided tours at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. daily, included in your ticket price. If you prefer to explore on your own, you can rent an audio guide for through it's available in 6 languages, including Spanish, French, and Mandarin. For families, we have a children's activity room on the 2nd floor, where kids can try hands-on crafts related to the exhibits. One last thing, our gift shop sells books, postcards, and replicas of some artifacts, like the navigational compass from the maritime exhibit. It's open until 5:30 p.m., so you can visit after your tour. I hope you enjoy your time here at Riverside History Museum.
That was the end of Section 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to questions 11 to 20. Now, turn to Section 3. You will hear a discussion between 2 students and their professor about a group project. First, you have 30 seconds to look at questions 21 to 30. You will hear a discussion between 2 students, Liam and Aisha, and their professor, Dr. Carter, about a group project on urban planning. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30.
Good afternoon, Liam and Aisha. Thanks for coming to discuss your group project on sustainable urban planning. Let's start by reviewing your topic. Liam, can you summarize what your group is focusing on?
Sure, Dr. Carter. Our project is about designing a sustainable neighborhood for a city of 50,000 people. We're looking at things like green spaces, public transport, and energy-efficient buildings. We want to propose a model that reduces carbon emissions by at least 30%.
That's a great start. Have you decided which aspects you'll prioritize? For example, are you focusing more on transport or housing?
We've split the project into 3 main areas. I'm working on public transport systems, like electric buses and bike-sharing programs. Liam's handling green spaces, like parks and urban forests. And our third member, Sophie, is researching energy-efficient buildings, like solar-powered homes.
Sounds well organized. Let's talk about public transport first, Aisha. What specific ideas are you exploring?
Well, we found that electric buses are a good option because they're cost-effective and reduce air pollution. But the challenge is the initial cost of installing charging stations. We're also looking at bike-sharing schemes, like the ones in Amsterdam, where you can rent bikes using an app. The problem is our city has hilly areas, so we might need e-bikes, which are more expensive.
Good point about the terrain. Have you considered integrating the transport system with other infrastructure, like pedestrian pathways?
Actually, that ties into my section on green spaces. We're proposing a network of pedestrian and bike paths that connect parks to residential areas. The idea is to encourage people to walk or cycle instead of driving. We're also suggesting rooftop gardens on apartment buildings to increase greenery without taking up too much land.
I like the rooftop garden idea. It's practical for urban areas. What about Sophie's section on buildings?
Sophie's still collecting data, but she's focusing on passive house designs, which use insulation and solar panels to reduce energy use. The challenge is that these buildings cost 10 to 15% more to construct, so we need to justify the investment.
That's a key point. You'll need to show how the long-term savings outweigh the upfront costs. Have you thought about how you'll present your findings?
We're planning a 15-minute presentation with slides. I'll cover the green spaces, Aisha will handle transport, and Sophie will talk about buildings. We'll also include a 3D model of the neighborhood to make it visual.
A 3D model is ambitious. Make sure you have enough time to create it. When's your deadline?
It's the 25th of October, so we've got about 3 weeks. We're meeting twice a week to coordinate, and we've set up a shared document to track our progress.
Excellent. One suggestion. Include a section on community feedback. Urban planning projects often fail if residents don't support them. Maybe research how other cities have involved locals in similar projects.
That's a great idea. We could add a survey or public consultation to our proposal.
Exactly. Okay, I think you're on the right track. Email me a draft of your outline by next Friday, and we'll meet again to review it.
Will do, Dr. Carter. Thanks for the feedback.
That was the end of Section 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to questions 21 to 30.
Now, turn to Section 4. You will hear a lecture about the impact of climate change on agriculture. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. You will hear a lecture by Professor Nguyen about the impact of climate change on agriculture.
Good morning, everyone. Today's lecture is on the impact of climate change on global agriculture, a critical issue as we face rising temperatures and unpredictable weather patterns. I'll cover 3 main areas: changing crop yields, water scarcity, and adaptation strategies. Let's start with crop yields. Climate change affects the growth of staple crops like wheat, rice, and maize. Higher temperatures can speed up plant growth, but this often reduces yields because crops have less time to develop seeds. For example, a 2019 study found that for every 1 degree Celsius increase in global temperature, wheat yields drop by about 6%. In regions like sub-Saharan Africa, where farming depends heavily on rainfall, this is a major concern. The second issue is water scarcity. Agriculture accounts for 70% of global freshwater use, but climate change is disrupting water availability. In areas like South Asia, melting glaciers are reducing river flows, which impacts irrigation. Meanwhile, in Australia, prolonged droughts have forced farmers to abandon crops like cotton, which require large amounts of water. Some farmers are switching to drought-resistant crops like sorghum, but these often have lower market value. Finally, let's discuss adaptation strategies. One approach is precision agriculture, which uses technology like sensors and drones to monitor soil and weather conditions. This helps farmers use water and fertilizers more efficiently. Another strategy is crop diversification, planting a variety of crops to reduce the risk of total harvest failure. For example, farmers in India are combining traditional crops like millet with cash crops like soybeans. However, these strategies come with challenges. Precision agriculture requires significant investment, which many small-scale farmers can't afford. Similarly, adopting new crops means farmers need training and access to markets. Governments can help by providing subsidies or setting up agricultural extension services to share knowledge. In conclusion, climate change poses serious threats to agriculture, but with the right strategies, we can mitigate its impact. Next week, we'll look at case studies from specific countries. For now, I recommend reading the 2020 Global Agriculture Report, available on the course website. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.
That was the end of Section 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to questions 31 to 40. That is the end of the listening test. You now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.